Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Brave Cat here once again with another Frontier Signals update. So, there's a couple small changes I've been making here. I'm really just working on the layout, and I've got some other ideas I've come up with regarding how I want to structure these things. So for right now, I put all the space weather feeds on a different page. So that should help a little bit here, hopefully, with how everything loads in. Things are getting a little bit buggy and weird, but again, that's why I gotta focus on doing some optimizations. I've been using VS Code for this project, and that's definitely kind of sped things up a little bit. So anyways, though, there's a few things I want to go over, just unrelated to the web page itself, more so just in terms of global activity. Let's kind of take a look over here on EQ3D. And so, there was all the watch zones that Dutch called for. Look at that. Wow. Look at that. I mean, one of them has already been completely spot on. I didn't even see this earlier. This literally just happened, it looked like. So, yeah, so Dutch was calling for basically 2 5s on both of these arrows. 2 5s over here on the coast of South America, and then a 6 pretty much in the middle of all of it. And look at that, we already have the pressure moving across the Pacific from the activity, basically everything in red here. Everything there is pushing out across the Pacific. And now it looks like we already have brand new deep activity here. So yeah, these are over 500 kilometers, almost 600 kilometers deep. We got a 5 and a 4.9 right there, 590 kilometers depth. So yeah, those are tremendously deep earthquakes, and they definitely cause shallower, larger activity, because it's basically, from, again, what Dutch points out, it is a seismic wave coming up and out and away from the source of the deep earthquakes. So that's what's going on here. We've already got one of the locations hit. Let's see, where is this? He was calling for, I believe, like a 5.1 right here at the southern border of Mexico. This looks like a new earthquake as well. So, pretty much similar sized activity going through there. And then we have whatever's going on here in the US. Let me just kind of turn that up, turn that down. So, you take a look at these 4s that have come across the entire plate, including going up into Canada and even going out into Utah. So we still have to look for some pretty significant activity to basically fill in all these gaps. So these are all old. In the pink, we have somewhat old earthquakes, and then everything that's in white is a lot newer. And we've had 6.0 activity going all the way across. So we're definitely going to be looking for newer 4, 5s, and 6s. Pretty much going to be going into the west coast here. Like I said, Dutch already called for potentially a 6 right about here at the border between California and Nevada. And then we're probably going to see 4s, potentially even 5s, kind of filling in these areas in between these sets of earthquakes. 4s probably more likely down here, 5s probably more likely up here. And then, of course, as usual, that energy is going to spread out to the rest of the plate and follow basically the entire craton edge going out. And then over here in Europe, pretty much kind of the same deal. We've got Western Turkey over here popping off as per usual. And I mean, really, it looks like Western Turkey almost is like it's like a catch-all for all the pressure moving through from over here. So, you know, we've had 5.0 activity pushing out into Europe, causing potential 4s. So that is, you know, it's looking pretty messy, especially over here, like in the, what is this, like the Mediterranean, and then we got Italy. So, you know, we've got activity there, and probably go ahead and take a look over at here just to see. Look, man, everybody's broke. Wait, you think people have money to donate? Come on. So pretty much the same kind of stuff going on here. Just kind of see. So I was looking around. I think, yeah, if you look at this, there might even be some sort of military base around here. I'm not really sure, but still have continued activity down there. And then it looks like got something closer to the volcano, but you know, it doesn't look like there's anything really major going on. Let's see, I've had this pulled up sporadically throughout the day to kind of take a look at what's going on, because, you know, as you know, there's pretty severe winter storm going across the United States here. So, like, even going especially down into Texas and some of these more southern states is really some of the biggest risk in terms of the freezing rain, the ice accumulation, and potential power outages, especially for these southern states, because, you know, they're typically not very well prepared. They don't really have any ice removal and snow plows like the northern states do. But things are already getting cold. I've been kind of taking a look over here in North Carolina because I got some family over there. Let's see, here it is. So yeah, it looks like it is definitely moving in. So I'm going to be still just kind of taking a look at all this here. We can look at the temperature. It's getting pretty cold, and it's only going to get colder. So that's kind of what's going on there. In terms of volcanoes, I think the biggest thing today really was actually with Kilauea in Hawaii. That is having more lava fountaining and just more general activity going on there. And then, of course, we've had some of the other usual suspects. Volcanoes up in Kamchatka, Philippines, Indonesia, even, Fuego, Guatemala. A lot of the similar things here going on. If we take a look at the tremor map, again, same locations, probably double the amount of tremors that we had yesterday. And okay, this is the thing I want to point out. You know, as I'm kind of getting into these forecasting watch zones, it seems like I would expect definitely maybe kind of Washington, Vancouver area, maybe a little bit off the coast, could definitely see maybe mid-range to low 5 activity. That's just me kind of pulling things out of my ass here. But let's kind of take a look at why I think that may be the case. So we're looking at some of the more significantly sized activity, even coming out of Canada. So, you know, again, we got 4s up here, we got 4s down here, and it doesn't look like Oregon or Washington has really been hit for more than a few days. these are going to be a lot older. And, we've had fresh activity pretty much everywhere else in between these two areas. So I don't know. If it was me looking at this, trying to guesstimate things, I would say like northern Oregon, going into Washington, going into Vancouver, I would expect something to go on here to kind of fill in these areas. So that's just my little forecast, I guess. So we'll see what happens. That's just kind of how that is. Now for, some of the more heavier topics. There's a article here on X by Open Minded Approach that I just kind of want to run through. It definitely has a lot of information here, including, again, we see this referenced here, the NOAA Historical Magnetic Declination Viewer, literally tracking the movement of the magnetic poles, and it is racing towards Siberia. And the South Pole is not moving as quickly. It has some things to catch up on. I think I can literally just pull it up really quick and then take it to, let me close out of that and switch to the 3D view. So we can also take a look at the southern magnetic pole. So this has also had movement. And it is also pretty much exponential, just as it is with the north side, but it isn't moving as quickly. So we take a look here. Oh wait, it's moving from that way to over here. Yeah, that makes sense, because the thing is with the movement of the poles right now, okay, the north side is moving this way towards Siberia, and then the south magnetic pole is moving from Antarctica, and it's going down here kind of towards Australia-ish more. It's kind of going over here in that direction. And basically the point that it's moving away from is what is called now the South Atlantic anomaly. So that is also covered in here. We have the South Atlantic anomaly, which is like a weakened, even further weakened area of the magnetic field. Which makes sense, because if the poles are moving away from this spot, then it would make sense that the magnetic field is going to be weaker in this area. And so basically this post here, pretty well put together. Again, there's a lot of different scientists, archaeologists, catastrophists, and just other people coming together to put together these theories and compare different things. Because really, when you look at history and the ancient past, these things happen, these rapid excursion events happen basically every 12,000 years, with half cycles, and then even cycles in between those half cycles. So we're really looking at every 3,000 years, every 6,000 years, and every 12,000 years. And it's the big ones, all right, every 12,000 years. Those are the big ones. And, there's a lot of signs pointing to the fact that we are not just due for another big one, but it is literally happening now. And if you take a look at what's happening in politics, in the global scene, clown world, all the BS going on, all the nonsense, that is also correlated to what's going on. I mean, they certainly don't want people, freaking out about this. They don't want people knowing what is about to happen on this planet. This is the cosmic Super Bowl, and it even goes as far as, those kind of spiritual and religious aspects to it as well. Like even for me, for example, at this point in time, I feel like this kind of thing is literally what I came down here on Earth to experience and to try to help humanity get through it. That's just quite how deep it goes. I've had that feeling for years now, and especially as time goes on, it's like, oh yeah, this is my purpose. Like, this is what I was here to help humanity not just uncover the truth of, but literally try to get through this. Because that's the thing, like, this has happened so many times, and it's linked to, like, for example, where is it down here? So, okay, so we have the Gothenburg excursion, which was about 12,000 years ago, led to the Younger Dryas event. So, if you look at what Graham Hancock's version of the Younger Dryas is, he thinks it was basically a impact event from like an asteroid or meteor impact. But there's evidence that goes against that as well. And of course, Hancock's not going to admit that. He has his entire career basically writing on his own theory. So he's not going against his own theory. But there is evidence that it was not an impact event. It was basically what we see here with the excursion of the magnetic field, pole shift, rapid scale climate change. So they want to push global warming. They want to push carbon footprint. Basically, they want to blame what's happening on the planet, which is not global warming. Okay, it is more like an extreme. Basically, everything is becoming more extreme. All right, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's rain or snow or whatever, things are becoming more extreme, just across the board. Okay, that's not really one way or the other. Although, there is certain places that are getting warmer. The ocean currents are destabilizing, and what we are going through right now is going to lead to a very cold future. There's glacial events that happen all the time, and as we see here, about 3,000 years ago, which would have been lining up with one of those cycles, would have been a very good explanation for the collapse of the Bronze Age. And then you have 6,000 years ago, and then you have sometime around 7,000 to 9,000 years ago. And then you have the Younger Dryas, 12,000 years ago. So it all lines up. The evidence and the data is just literally stacking up. So, I know it's a heavy topic. Most people don't want to know anything about this. They don't want to prepare for it. They don't want even to think about it, or they think there's nothing we can do about it. Well, again, people have survived this time and time again. Regardless of technology, people have survived this. So, it's really more about, here's what it really is. Here's what this really comes down to. Okay, it's not just what is happening geophysically. It is not just about harsh conditions, rapid changes, new ages of Earth. We're talking about control schemes that have reigned for thousands of years. Okay, if you take a look at what's happening in politics and kind of the global scene, where basically we have these like vampiric suckers in these royal bloodlines, these secret societies and whatnot that go back hundreds, if not thousands of years. This is why they want control. Okay, because they want to remain in control after these events are done, after the pole shift is done. They want to basically continue to enslave humanity. So, that's really the big fight that's going on. I think that is the most important thing right now to be aware of, is to get out of these control schemes, to push back against these official narratives, and basically take the Earth back, okay? these evil parasites that are trying to control everything on Earth right now, like, this is not just a 20th century problem. Okay, this has been an ongoing battle that humanity has faced for eons, okay? And it's about time we take back our freedom, we take back our true willpower in this world, and just be in harmony with the earth. Because, you know, if you look at what the agenda is with, like, the World Economic Forum, Davos, Bilderberg, Bill Gates, George Soros, you look at all these people and what they're doing, and what they're basically openly talking about is sick and twisted and horrible. They don't want anything on Earth to really survive. Like, they literally want to basically kill everything and find a way for them to become immortal through some kind of technological means. Like, I mean, this, I know I sound fucking batshit, but, you know, I don't care. I mean, this is it. Like, this, it's either you fight for what's good and holy in this world, or you just stick your head in the sand, you know, like an ostrich, like a whatever, and just ignore it, just do whatever. You know, yeah, I don't think anyone was prepared for that, but, you know, that's really just dropping the bombs here, man. Dropping the truth bombs, mic dropping, whatever. Just, here we are. There's only so much time left, like, really. And especially what's going on this platform. We should all be thankful that Elon did what he did and he bought this platform, and we at least have some form of free speech, even though there's clearly a lot of throttling, a lot of algorithm things going on. But yeah, there's I guess there's my ramble, there's my TED Talk. That's about it. I'll catch you all in the next one.